You're watching S24 Rundown. I'm Zainab Ibrahim, bringing you the latest developments from across Nigeria and around the world. Now let's get into the news in details. Former National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Olisa Metu, has commended President Bola Tinubu for championing the establishment of state police, describing the move as a bold and forward-looking response to Nigeria's worsening security challenges. Metu said the president's support for decentralizing policing reflects courage and strategic leadership, noting that a state policing system will strengthen local security architecture and improve the country's capacity to tackle crime more effectively. Now next, resident doctors at Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, Shagamu, Ogun State, have suspended their 10-day warning strike following assurances from the Ogun State government that outstanding professional allowances will be paid on or before July 31st, 2026. The decision was reached after a meeting between government officials, including Secretary to the State Government Tokubo Talabi and Head of Service Olariwaju Saka, alongside the leadership of the Nigerian Medical Association in the state. The doctors have directed all members to resume work immediately while awaiting the fulfillment of the government's commitments. Now, Borno State's Governor Professor Babagana Zulum has directed the immediate closure of the internally displaced persons camp in Bama local government area over growing insecurity and criminal activities. The governor announced the decision during an assessment visit to the government secondary school IDP camp in Goza, revealing that the Bama camp would be shut immediately, while the Goza camp will also be closed within the next 2 to 3 weeks following the completion of the profiling and screening of the residents. The Lagos State government has intensified its Ebola prevention efforts by urging residents, particularly those in Etiosa, Ibejuleki, and Ekpe local government areas, to remain vigilant despite the absence of any confirmed case of the disease in the state. For Nigeria, the advisory forms part of the state's proactive response to recent Ebola outbreaks reported in parts of East and Central Africa, with health authorities stressing that preparedness and early detection are crucial to preventing the virus from entering the state. Residents have been advised to maintain good hygiene, wash their hands regularly, avoid contact with anyone showing symptoms of the disease, and promptly report suspected cases, especially involving travelers from affected countries. Finally, on the internationals, the United Nations has mobilized support for Venezuela following the devastating twin earthquakes that struck the country's northern region, leaving at least 164 people dead and nearly 1,000 others injured. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed solidarity with the victims and extended his condolences to the bereaved families, while wishing those injured a speedy recovery. The powerful 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes, which occurred less than a minute apart, caused widespread destruction, with Lagos State among the hardest hit areas. The UN said it is working closely with Venezuelan authorities to assess the full extent of the disaster and coordinate humanitarian assistance for affected communities. Now let's move on to our next segment, the business news update with Martha Okpaledu.
Welcome to our business update on S24 Rundown. As the week draws to a close, regional trade gathers momentum, Nigeria's inflation outlook comes under fresh review, Reforms in the maritime sector continue while investors assess opportunities in the equities markets. Here are the news in details. Trade among African countries has risen by 5.5%, reflecting the growing impact of regional integration initiatives and the African Continental Free Trade Area. Analysts say the improvement presents new opportunities for Nigerian manufacturers and exporters to expand into regional markets while strengthening non-oil export earnings. Global ratings agency S&P has revised Nigeria's 2026 inflation forecast upward to 16.9%, while trimming its economic growth outlook. The agency says inflationary pressures remain a key risk despite ongoing reforms, although it expects macroeconomic conditions to gradually improve over the medium term. Moving on, the Nigerian Shippers Council says it is strengthening its performance framework to improve port efficiency, facilitate trade, and reduce the costs of doing business. The initiative is expected to enhance cargo clearance processes and boost Nigerians' competitiveness within the West African maritime sector. And trading on the Nigerian exchange is expected to remain cautious as investors position ahead of half-year corporate earnings and continue to rotate into fundamentally strong banking, industrial and consumer goods stocks as well. Market analysts say sentiment remains positive over the medium term despite recent bouts of profit taking. Lastly, global investors are closely monitoring economic data and central bank signals as concerns over inflation and interest rates continue to influence financial markets worldwide. Market analysts say borrowing costs remain a major factor shaping investment decisions and economic growth prospects across both developed and emerging economies. The four most dangerous words in investing are "this time it's different," said Sir Johnson Templeton. And that's your business update for today. Stay with us after the break is a Newsbear review. Have a wonderful weekend ahead of you.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you so much, Martha, for the business news update. Now, moving on to our next segment, the newspaper review, where we give you the latest headline making the rounds. And I'll be doing these with Abubakar Turaki. Hello, Abubakar.
Hello, Zainab.
Good to see you today.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, how are you preparing for the weekend?
Oh, it's going to be joyful.
All right. So moving quickly to the business of the day, let's start with the Punch front page. It says 36 speakers back state police, final test begins. This is something we've predicted before. I've always known that the state police law will come to pass, and it is looking like it is going to come to pass. What do you think about this?
Well, Zainab, this is to say that never underestimate the power of the presidency when they have interest in a particular bill.
Nobody ever underestimated it. We never the moment he mentioned state police, we knew that it was going to come to pass.
Of course, state police have finally seen the light of the day, even though the president is yet to assent into the bill, you know, because we need to have at least 24 states out of the 36 states that we have here in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And, you know, since the return of democracy in 1999 to date, we knew some even state house of assemblies, when they are even passing their own annual budget without even going through to understand what the budget entails.
Of course.
I know some states, especially in the northeastern part of the country, when that was, I think, between 2011 to 2015, if I could remember, there was one executive governor from that state. I don't want to mention the state. He brought the annual budget to the State House of Assembly. Within 24 hours, they all assented to the annual budget without having proper scrutiny to understand what is there, to understand the deficit, to understand how much is being earmarked to education, health, security, and some certain things. This is to tell you the level of representation that we have there. We have a level of representation.
Yeah, I was having a conversation about this with someone yesterday, which I don't want to mention. And she mentioned that this is how they are going to agree on this law. And at some point they will now come back to say that the decision was rushed?
No, it wasn't rush. It was intentionally bypassed, and they wanted to put it into order because I told you the presidency have interest in that, because the problem of insecure state police has been lingering since the time of former President former President Goodluck Jonathan.
Yeah.
When Buhari was in power, they started that move, and Buhari, is he's not a kind of like rigid, that he's not that too rigid when it comes to politics. And you know how like the incumbent president, he even called himself as a very stubborn politician. So state police is here to stay, and this is the beginning of aristocracy, and is the beginning of anarchy, and is the beginning of dictatorship, and is the beginning of...
Why would you say that? Is it because of the advent of the state police?
Of course, we knew how when they said that state independent, as they said, but I want to frame it in another way. State-dependent National Electoral Commission.
It's unfortunate that we have a very short time for this conversation. I actually have so many questions regarding the state police, because when it comes to the payments and the care for the state police, that means it will be coming from the state government, right? So we've had so many states not even being able to take care of their government workers. Some are not even collecting minimum wage yet. How are we sure that they will be able to take care of this state police and they will not become the next generation of bandits?
Of course, I'm always speak from the positive angle of the coin, but today I think I'm going to speak from the pessimist angle of the coin. How sure are we those state police are not going to be the next militia? Because we know when
if they are not taken care of course they will look for other means.
Of course, Zainab, is going to be a kind of like a new set of power among the state governors. We know how they have been using some federal police who are being answerable to the federal government. See the way they have been victimizing the opposition. See the way they have been actually, allegedly, they have been hunting opposition. The way they have been using
instead of what they actually
is the
are preaching.
Is a tool that they will use to weaponize against the opposition. Tomorrow, 27, Gombe State are going to have their own local government elections and the councillor election. Mind you, Zainab, I'm coming back here on Monday to analyze how the ruling party is going to win all the 11 local governments.
That's aside.
And these are the people that you are going to trust to trust them with the state police.
May we come back here safely on Monday to discuss that? But again, on the state police, why do we need state police? They are preaching that it's because they want security agencies close to the grassroots, right? But we have some of these. We have Egbeteko. We have what's the name of these people in Kano State?
Okay, Karota, Amotekun. These are original security outlets.
Yes, of course. Why are they not, giving them more power? Why are they not giving them more ammunition for them to? Why are we creating state police if we have all of this on ground?
Then I think at the end of President Tinubu tenure, I doubt if this country is not going to take apart, because from the way things are going in this country, it has clearly, like, Nigeria is tilting toward fiscal federalism. You see now Tinubu is trying to decentralize the security apparatus to the state governors. If he succeed and come back in the next tenure, who knows maybe what he can do.
Which looks like he's going to come back anyway.
Of course, you cannot underestimate the power of incumbency. Even though there have been a lot of narration, there are a lot of narrations which was being postulated by the former presidential spokesman Olusegun Adeniyi in his book Against the Run of Play: How the Incumbent President Loses Election and Power, Politics and Debt, which he outlined how the incumbent president loses election. We saw how Goodluck Jonathan lose election. We saw how Nana Akufo of Ghana lose election, and we saw how Bindo of Adamawa lose election. We saw how M.A. Abubakar of Bauchi State lost his election.
But those ones look relatively like they were actually going to lose. But what we are seeing now, it doesn't look like.
No, as long as Nigerians want to defeat the incumbent president, they can do it. I doubt if to say that. I recently saw a catching video yesterday that why are we Nigerians, why are we tired of going out to vote? If politicians cannot get tired every after 4 weeks to come and share spaghetti, 500 naira, you mean your votes actually count. So definitely don't just get discouraged. Go out and vote. pray, as they have been saying we should pray, and pray. We are going to pray and we are going to vote. And definitely we are going to see
should
different
I answer
things.
the question on behalf of Nigerians? I think Nigerians are tired of going out to vote because they do not think their vote counts anyway. So whether they go out or they
Nigerians'
don't
vote
go
counts.
out to vote,
Yeah.
that is what they feel. That is what Nigerians have made. The system has made Nigerians believe that their votes do not count anyway. So even if they go out to vote or they don't go out to vote,
Well,
it remains
the greatest
same.
mistake any Nigerian will do in 2027 is for him to relax on January and February, not for him to go out and vote, because you don't know the power of number, the power of your term. You can elect and you can also withdraw.
Come 2027, Nigerians, let's canvass, let's prepare to go and vote for the leaders we want in power and the leaders we want away. Moving on to our last headline, it says, and this is from The Nation, which says CBN orders freeze of accounts linked to terrorism financing. There seems to be some encouraging headlines these days against terrorism. What would you say?
Zainab, we need to go beyond headlines. Implementation matters.
I felt hot.
Implementation matters. We know how these days all those people that are in the position of power, they can just come out, use their own ChatGPT to give us fancy and nice English, catchy one.
Twitter headlines
and everything. We even saw something recently, PPRO of police debunking the statement that we saw the way terrorists are moving around the street, disclaiming that those people are vigilante. Then when did the vigilantes start using sophisticated weapons? When did vigilantes start using camouflage? Is it not honorable for him to say that those videos are fabricated AI videos?
And he would rather call them vigilantes.
And if you actually look at the video, someone that was actually recording the video, he was just saying in Hausa, these are bandits. And here the Nigerian police PPRO is saying that these are haba.
It is safe to say that our political leaders, they are a lie.
So I think this need to go beyond headline. I believe it's a good one, even though due to the level of lackadaisical attitude.
It's just that this action is actually not coming from the federal government. This is the little power that the CBN can do to actually curb security. When it comes to the federal government, we are not seeing any action, tangible action from them.
Sometimes
because I will still always go back to the Oyo children.
Yeah.
Till date, people are already getting used to the fact that these children are not back. The government are not doing anything about it. So when it comes to action from the federal government, there is nothing we are seeing. So let's thank at least the CBN.
Then I think I still have another solution to end this kidnapping based on my kindergarten understanding of security.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. I saw the Oba of Benin calling on his people. I think on Monday they should come out unanimously so that they can come and cause whosoever have hand in the problem of insecurity. Well, these are some alternative. And another one, I know
that is citizens taking actions into their hand.
Since the government have failed to protect them.
Yes.
Of course, they have to look for another alternative to find their way so that security is very, very paramount.
That looks like the last conversation we had about Jungle Justice. I am not, defending. It is actually very bad because someone who is actually not a perpetrator becomes a victim at some point. But Jungle Justice came as a result of anger. Taking justice into your hand because you cannot wait for the federal government. You don't trust them. You arrest somebody, you report somebody, you see the people moving around freely. So that's where Jungle Justice came from, even though some people are using it in the wrong way. But do you think we should take action into our hand?
Of course, we should not take. If Nigerians started taking action into their hand, Nigeria will be a pure state of anarchy.
Yeah.
And another solution I'm actually advocating is those perpetrators, those kidnappers, those criminals have their own family and relative. If they kidnapped, their relative, go and kidnap them.
Okay, thank you so much for staying with us up to this moment. Let's move on to our next segment because today Turaki seems to be pessimistic, not optimistic as usual. We're moving on to our next segment, the S24 report, coming to you after the break.
Women remain critical drivers of social, economic, and political development across societies. In Nigeria, They account for nearly half of the population, yet women's representation in elective and appointed positions remains significantly low, standing at about 6.7%, placing Nigeria among the countries with the poorest records in female legislative participation globally. In a bid to reverse the trend and encourage greater female participation in governance and leadership across Nigeria and the West African sub-region, stakeholders converged on Abuja for the Female Legislative Mentorship and Masterclass Program on Diplomacy and Parliamentary Affairs.
It seeks to bridge the persistent gaps in experience, exposure, and technical capacity that often limit women's access to both elective and appointive office. About the legacy you are going to create, and that's what makes you a statesperson. So if I leave office tomorrow, what will I remembered for? Is it a title? Is it the convoys that you have? Is it your beautiful speeches that are meaningless or impactful? Or is it the schools that you build, the impact you create? Is it the laws that you pass, the opportunities that you've created, and the hopes that you have restored?
Organized by the ECOWAS Female Parliamentarians Association in collaboration with the United World Congress of Diplomats, Directorate of Parliamentary Affairs, and other partners, the program aims to advance women's inclusion in governance, strengthen democratic institutions, and promote effective leadership across the region.
Leadership is not an accident of history. It is a product of deliberate preparation. To our members, look around this room. You are not here to occupy seats. You are here to inherit the mantle of continental governance.
The inauguration of this program on the Unity of the Nations International Day for Women in Diplomacy makes it even more meaningful. It will definitely redefine the role of women in diplomacy and parliamentary affairs.
This program is more than just an executive masterclass. It is a practical investment in building a pipeline of competent, confident, visionary, extraordinary women in leadership for the West African sub-region.
With the theme, Building the Next Generation of Statesmen and Stateswomen for Legislative and Executive Excellence, organizers expressed optimism that the mentorship and masterclass will equip emerging female leaders with the knowledge, skills, and networks needed to excel in legislative and executive roles. Gloria Atta, reporting for S24 Television.
Welcome back from that break, and this is Political Arena here on S24 Television. The values, discipline, and character boys developed while growing often shape the kind of men and leaders they became in the nearest future. Family and communities play a crucial role in teaching boys responsible, respect, empathy, positive leadership skills. This discussion will explore how parents, religious leaders, school, institution, and society can work together to raise a responsible boy child who will contribute positively to the development of our dear country, Nigeria. This afternoon, my guest is Anna Hussaini Pai, founder of Ergote Foundation and also a boy child advocate. Madam Anna, welcome to Political Arena here on S24 Television.
Thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure speaking to you. Despite the fact that you are advocating for the boy child, if I may ask you, why boy child?
Why not boy child in the first instance? The focus over the years has been on the girl child, and which is not a bad thing. But when we look at the whole issue critically, you realize that a lot of the problems that we've been trying over the years to solve for the girl child is directly related. Is directly related to the boy child, because when we look at issues like rape of the girl child, it has to be a boy or a man that will take that action. when we look at domestic abuse, financial abuse, domestic violence, all sorts of violence against the women and girls, it's coming from the men and the boys. And so we say that a man that knows better will act better. A man that knows better will not go raping girls or women.
Of course, yeah.
A man that knows better will not perpetrate any kind of
Social
violence
vices.
or whatever it is on the woman or the girls. So we are saying, let there be a balance. Let's prevent most of the issues from happening even in the first place than reacting to them when they already happen. Because unfortunately, some girls and women don't make it out alive. Some, after getting raped and getting pregnant, unfortunately, it becomes it changes the trajectory of their lives completely, because some drop out of school, some commit suicide, some become teenage mothers, and then their whole life is messed up.
So basically what you are doing, you are trying to catch them very young.
Yes, we're trying to catch them young, balance the divide, and prevent some of the issues happening to women from happening in the first place. But beyond that, the boys themselves are, going through a lot of pressure to belong, pressure to succeed, pressure to become who they are not yet ripe to be. So, for example, you see a boy below the age of 20 wanting to ride the vehicles that, they don't have the wherewithal to purchase them. So they get involved in so many, unscrupulous activities just to get that. And that's emanating from the pressure
peer pressure
to belong.
and societal pressure.
Yeah. So again, because the boy child does not really have, that feeling of safety, they don't have where to run to voice out their, their frustrations. So they somehow have to let off that steam. So you find them joining gangs, you find them, engaging in
drug abuse,
substance abuse generally, and all sorts of behaviors just to let off steam. Because as humans, we all, respond to some certain stimulations differently. So yeah, they have to just find a way of letting out steam.
This goes down to my next question, like how important is the role of parents and family in shaping the character and value of boys?
The role of family and the community,
of course.
Is very important. Their role, they play a very crucial role. So when we talk about what needs to be done to the boy child or to humans in general, we talk about mentorship. Young people need to be mentored by the older ones. But beyond mentorship, because it's one thing to sit down a human and talk to the person and say, oh, you need to do A, B, C to get it right. You need to behave in a certain way. So that's okay to mentor this young adult. But beyond mentorship, what are you modeling? Because it's one thing to say, oh, don't jump into the river. And then the mentor is jumping into the river.
Well, he will definitely
and the mentee is watching the mentor jump into the river. So it's like, do what I say, but don't do what I do. Now, the mentee will be watching the mentor very closely, because for you to mentor an individual, you have some degree of closeness with that person. That mentee will have some degree of access to the mentor. So they're watching. Beyond listening to what you're saying to them, they are also watching. So we have a modeling problem, the parents and the community in general. We have a modeling problem. So the religious bodies or the religious clerics will be on the pulpits on Fridays and on Sundays preaching to people. But what do you do after you get off the pulpit?
That one matters.
It does matter, because the people you're preaching to are watching you. Knowingly or unknowingly to you, they are watching you. So is the quality of the mentorship worth their while? Is it going to be something they want to listen and act out? Or are they going to be watching what you're doing? Because it's going to water down your behavior after you mentor an individual, will water down or will uphold whatever it is you have said to that person.
You spoke about like mentorship. and still in the community, what are some of the challenges affecting the proper upbringing of boy child today in our communities?
We have a lot. Like I've just said, the modeling is top on the charts because you hear people say, "Oh, the chief of this community, he's engaged." We've seen it in the papers, where we've seen kings and chiefs that have been caught engaged or being part of the bandit, community, aiding and abetting them. And so that's where the modeling comes in, because you can't say one thing and do another thing. And secondly, we have, because of the economic situation presently, we have absentee parents. Parents are absent because they have to go out there to source for, the daily bread for the family to even survive in the first place. But we need to realize that there needs to be a balance. You have to be available. You have to be, you have to put an eye on what your kids are doing. You have to shape them from a tender age, without which they are going to be shaped by the streets
and what they see,
by the internet, and maybe what they see on TV.
Of course, you made mention of the internet. Currently, we are in the era of 21st century, digitalization and globalization. How can the media and digital platform play a vital role positively in the protection of young people, especially ahead of 2027? Because those people are actually vulnerable. They're actually in their teenage, and money can actually influence them.
So I think it's beyond the media, is that we need very strong policies to safeguard, the young people from getting exposed to certain content. So we've seen in Australia that they've banned, children
even
below.
UK recently.
Yeah, recently the United Kingdom also did that. But we have to have in place that infrastructure to detect and shut out, the young people that are not supposed to
get exposed
view
to that,
or get exposed to certain content. So it's beyond what the media can do, because the media is just an arm of the society, So we need very strong policies from the relevant organizations that are in charge of, that industry or that sector. So like NCC, for example, they need to put out,
certain things,
certain
measures,
policies and measures that will safeguard against that. Otherwise, we're not really going to go anywhere.
Due to time, but before we draw the curtain of the show, ahead of 2027, I know you are actually a leader in your own community. What can you say to young people ahead of 2027, especially in shunning away from electoral violence, money politics, and all sorts of crimes associated to elections?
So at this juncture, I want to be very realistic. It's beyond just saying things to young people. It's the economic situation, which I believe was
one of the contributing factors.
Well, I want to say it's a bit intentional. People have been put in that space, like intentionally, so that when the elections draw near, the money can act a role, So we have to be realistic in whatever we say. It's going to be very difficult to make young people and even older people generally shy or shun money politics, because people are hungry. People need the money. So, but what I will say is people need to be sensible. People need to be smart. Take the money and vote your conscience. That's if you even have the conscience in the first place.
This is the right time where people should put their own thinking caps.
Exactly.
Well, we have to draw the curtain of political arena here. Thank you so much. And it's actually a privilege speaking to you here on
Thank
S24.
you for having me.
Thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
You're welcome.
2027 general elections is the election that will decide the future of over 240 million Nigerians. It is high time for Nigerians to put their own thinking cap and go for the best candidate that will address the problem of insecurity, bribery, corruption, and kidnapping across the 36 states in Nigeria. Thank you, and this is where we draw the curtain of political arena. Thank you, and bye for now.
It was very interesting listening to your previous interview with Miss Halima, the CEO of S24 Television. And I'd like to ask you just one or two very targeted questions that are of specific interest to me and the areas that I'm looking at. One is I have a program called Sahar Watch, which we're developing here on S24 Television, which is very much around insecurity and the Islamic insurgency across the Sahel and the impact on communities. And what became very apparent is that the insecurity actually impacts one of the largest socio-economic activities in northern Nigeria, which is agriculture and farming. So I want to ask you a couple of questions that kind of relate to northern Nigeria looking north, that not from a security perspective, but more from the perspective of food, and impact on food. So my first one is things like we've seen a lot in the global north about the Great Green Wall, the planting of trees, stopping the desertification of the Sahara moving south. Is it possible that you can use crops that can use genetically modified techniques, biotechnology techniques, that can help with soil structure, holding the soil, maybe resisting the sand, or strengthening things that are used for staple diets? I've heard you mention coffee and maize. Is that something that we're looking at and we're able to use GMO for? Because in the global north, there seems to just be a lot of fear about putting it into our food system because it's going to change us, when we've already got that with processed food really affecting our biology. So maybe you could kind of clarify that for me a little bit.
You can adopt GM technologies to address issues around soil degradation, issues around, for example, I understand related somehow also to the insecurity, the illegal mining taking place, the sifting of heavy metals into the soil, right? So all of that contributes in a way into the crisis around the security and with potential impact on food and nutrition. So we should have a program that looks at the options, possible options of technologies, and not just GM technologies. There are many other technologies, and I can give you an example of a technology that really regenerates soil. It's called regenerative agriculture. Yeah. So in Brazil, in the Cerrado region, which is more of a semi-arid, sometimes some of those places are quite similar to what we have in northern Nigeria. They use the zero-till farming, where they intercrop tree crops and soybean and animals on the same land. This regenerates, and enriches the soil, actually reduces carbon emission while ensuring food and nutrition security.
So we're solving two issues there as well. We're dealing with carbon extraction.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is obviously another big thing in the global north. We're always talking about carbon credits and things like that, which is a way of supporting farming. And also we're able to then deal with those things around soil erosion, because obviously things like then climate change with flooding. And one of the things that's particularly of interest to me with the Sahar Watch program is you've got this impact on the population of security of not being able to grow food to impact themselves, and obviously that's an impact on southern Nigeria because northern Nigeria is the breadbasket of Nigeria. But then you've also got that with the insecurity across the wider Sahel, you've got lots of people leaving to be safe. So you've got lots of IDPs, internally displaced people, as well as refugees that are coming into big camps and things like this. Are things like GMO, genetically modified crops, able to help with the sort of having more than one rotation of a crop in a season so that we can feed more people rather than relying on the World Health Organization bringing in food? It always seems we're looking to feed people to survive today, not to plants and actually be able to feed that in the future. It's a big question, I know, but I know you can probably give us quite a succinct answer to that.
The angle from which I will come in responding to this question is the seed system. Generally, the seed system in Nigeria is relatively weak. It's not easy to find the right seed or the right certified seed, but there are some simple technologies that we can employ to rapidly propagate and generate seedlings and seeds that we can use to through the planting season. And one of the technologies is called tissue culture, right? So where you vegetatively propagate crops in large quantity within a very small space. So you don't really need, and I think this will be ideal for the kind of vulnerable situation that we have in Katsina and other places now, where you can massively propagate seeds and planting materials and present them to farmers for quick farming within the season.
Welcome to Security Update on S24 Television. I am Gloria Atta, and here is a roundup of the stories making headlines in Nigeria's security landscape today. We begin in Borno State, where troops of Operation Hadinkai have rescued 53 civilians after foiling an ISWAP roadblock along the Buratai-Kamuya road in the state. Military sources say troops detected the insurgents through surveillance and swiftly deployed a quick response force, forcing the terrorists to flee after a brief exchange of fire. 48 adults and 5 children were rescued, while 8 abandoned vehicles were recovered. The military says no casualties were recorded, describing the operation as part of sustained efforts to secure major roads and protect civilians in the northeast. In a separate development, troops of Operation Hadinkai have arrested 2 suspected Boko Haram logistics suppliers in Yobe State and seized about 750 liters of petrol. The suspects were intercepted during a snap checkpoint operation along the Bunigari-Bara road, following intelligence on the movement of suspected terrorist collaborators. Recovered items include 30 jerrycans of fuel, 2 motorcycles, a mobile phone, and cash. The suspects are in military custody as investigations continue. Still in Yobe State, the police command has arrested 8 suspects over alleged theft, violent assault, and other criminal offenses in separate operations across the state. Among those arrested is a suspect accused of stealing building materials from a primary school renovation project, while 2 others were detained over a violent clash and the alleged theft of a ram. Police also raided a suspected criminal hideout in Nguru, leading to the arrest of 5 additional suspects. And finally, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency says it destroyed over 51 hectares of cannabis plantations and arrested 281 suspects in Ekiti State within the last year. Speaking during activities marking the 2026 World Drug Day, the state commander, Rufus Aino, disclosed that 50 suspects have been convicted, while several other cases remain before the courts. The agency also recovered more than 6 tons of illicit substances and carried out dozens of anti-drug awareness campaigns. And that's our security update for today. As always, remember that staying informed is a critical part of staying safe. I am Gloria Atta. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Hello and welcome to Tech World Updates, where we discuss technology, innovation, and digital world. I am Aisha Muhammad. Here's what's shaping ICT from Nigeria to the global stage. Today's ICT headlines are dominated by digital safety initiative for young Nigerians, the growing use of technology to strengthen national security, and Africa's race to build the infrastructure needed to power the artificial intelligence revolution. We begin in Nigeria, where the effort to build a safer digital environment are gaining momentum. The National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, in partnership with Meta, has officially launched a nationwide digital literacy and online safety initiative during the Youth Safety Summit in Abuja. The program is designed to equip young Nigerians with the knowledge and skills needed to navigate the internet responsibly, identify online threats, and promote safer digital behavior. Officials say digital literacy is becoming just as important as digital access in an increasingly connected society. Still in Nigeria, technology is also taking on a greater role in national security. The Nigerian Police Force has announced a strategic shift towards intelligence-led policing through the integration of information and communication technology into its operations. The initiative is expected to strengthen crime prevention, improve intelligence gathering, and enhance the efficiency of policing across the country. Security analysts say digital tools are becoming increasingly central to modern law enforcement around the world. Across Africa, attention is turning to the infrastructure powering the continent's artificial intelligence ambitions. A growing body of analysis, including reports by Al Jazeera, highlight the enormous energy demands and fiscal infrastructure required to support expanding AI systems and data centers. But beyond the technology itself lies another critical question: who will own and control Africa's AI future? Governments across the continent are now weighing crucial decisions over who should finance, build, and regulate Africa's rapidly expanding network of data centers and artificial intelligence infrastructure. Experts say the choices made today will shape not only the continent's digital economy, but also its technological independence for decades to come. And finally, to the international stage. The United Nations Office of Information and Communication Technology is concluding its Open Source Week with discussions centered on ethical artificial intelligence. The final section team, OSPOs for Good, explores how open source collaboration can help build AI systems that is transparent, inclusive, and accessible to communities around the world. The initiative reflects growing international effort to ensure technological advancement is matched by responsible governance. And that's Tech World Update, where innovation meets impact and the future stays in focus. As we wrap up another week, one thing is clear: technology continues to reshape the way we live, work, and connect with the world. Have a restful weekend, stay safe online, keep learning, and join us next week for more stories shaping digital future. But do stay with us, as Entertainment News Update is up next after the break with Karimat Hassan. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to today's entertainment update. The entertainment world is buzzing with exciting releases from Nigeria, while Hollywood is paying tribute to one of its legendary stars. Afrobeat superstar has officially kicked off his 2026 music campaign with the release of his first solo single of the year, titled I Know Who I Be. The highly anticipated track has already generated excitement across streaming platforms and social media, with fans praising its catchy sound and message of resilience. The release is expected to mark the beginning of another successful year for the award-winning singer. Also making headlines is veteran singer Wande Coal, who has officially released his long-awaited album, King Cole, featuring an impressive lineup of collaborators with some of the biggest names in African music. The project has been applauded for its blend in Afrobeat, R&B, and soulful melodies. Critics say the album is another reminder of Wande Coal's enduring influence and contribution to the Nigerian music industry. Meanwhile, the global entertainment industry is mourning the passing of legendary Hollywood actress Anne Blyth, who has died at the age of 98, best known for her Oscar-nominated role in the 1945 classic Mildred Pierce. Blyth enjoyed a remarkable career spanning film, television, and stage. Tributes continue to pour in celebrating her exceptional talent and lasting contributions to Hollywood. From exciting new music releases to the celebration of a screen icon legacy, those are today's top entertainment stories. I am Karimat Hassan. Stay tuned for our next segment.
Good day and welcome to your sports updates. The drama is heating up as the knockout stage begins to take shape, with surprise results, history-making performances, and a proud moment for Nigerian basketball. We start in New Jersey, where Ecuador pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the tournament, defeating Germany 2-1 to book a place in the last 32. Germany struck first inside just 2 minutes through Lori Sani, but Ecuador refused to panic. Nilce Angulo restored parity before Gonzalo Plata smashed home the winner just 30 minutes from full time, sending Ecuadorian fans into wild celebration. Although Germany still topped the group, Ecuador's fighting spirit earned them one of the best third-place qualification spots. Elsewhere, history was made for Ivory Coast. The African champions reached the World Cup knockout stage for the very first time after defeating Curaçao 2-0 in Philadelphia. Former Arsenal winger Nicolas Pepe was the hero of the day, scoring twice to guide the Elephants into the next round. His early opener settled the nerves before a composed second-half finish sealed a famous victory. For Curaçao, despite their exit, simply reaching the World Cup remains a remarkable achievement for the tiny Caribbean nation with a population of just 160,000 people. They may be heading no, but they have certainly won plenty of admirers. Meanwhile, the Netherlands avoided a heavyweight clash with Brazil after defeating Tunisia 3-1 to finish top of the Group F. The Dutch raced into an early 2-goal lead thanks to an own goal and a close-range finish from Brian Bobby. Tunisia fought back briefly in the second half, but Jean-Paul Van Eyck's header restored the 2-goal cushion. That victory means the Netherlands will now face Morocco in the round of 32, while Japan, after drawing 1-1 with Sweden, secured second place and will face Brazil in what promises to be one of the blockbuster titles of the knockout stage. Sweden also squeezed through one of the tournament's third-place team. And finally, a proud day for Nigerian basketball. Nigeria made a huge statement at the 2026 NBA draft as 6 players of the Nigeria Heritage were selected in Brooklyn. Ebuka Okore was picked 17th overall, while Zubi Ejifo also became a first-round selection. In the second round, Nigeria-born Felix Opara and Ugonna Onyenso made history by becoming only the second pair of the Nigeria-born players ever drafted in the same NBA drafts. Otega Owe also secured his NBA dream, capping off an unforgettable night for Nigerian basketball. From football's biggest stage to basketball's brightest future, it's another reminder that Nigerian talent continues to shine across the world. And that's your sports update. I am Stephen A. Lebo. Thanks for watching, and also don't forget to enjoy your weekend. Coming up next is PG News after the break.
Hello, my country people, and welcome to another Pidgin Story on Top S24 Rundown. Former National Publicity Secretary for the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Olisa Metu, don't clap hand for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on top the state police matter we don't enter law for Nigeria. Metu talk say the move where the president they push now bold step to finish all the heavy security wahala where they disturb the country. Inkan Opuma talk say the way Tinubu take support make states get their own police, sure say the president get better mind and he know how to lead. Metu still add say this state police arrangement go make security tight way for every village where they for Nigeria and even inside city. He say it go help the country catch bad boys quickly and easily. And for health matter, resident doctors for Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, Shagamu, Ogun State, they don't suspend their 10-day warning strike. This decision come after Ogun State government promise say they go pay all outstanding professional allowances on or before July 31st, 2026. The agreement happened after they do meeting with Secretary to the State Government Tokunbo Talabi, Head of Service Olarinwa Jusaka, and leaders of the Nigerian Medical Association for Ogun State. The doctors on direct of their members may they resume work immediately while they wait for government to fulfill their promise. And Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum don't order immediate closure of all internally displaced persons IDP camp for Bama local government area. The government said the decision now because of increasing insecurity and criminal activities where they happen for inside the camp. Zulum announced during assessment visit to government secondary school IDP camp for Goza. And according to him, the Bama camp go close immediately, while the Goza camp go also close within the next 2 to 3 weeks after government completes profiling and screening of the people wey still dey stay for that place. And Lagos State government now advise residents may they stay at alert against Ebola, even though they never confirm any case of the disease for Lagos or anywhere inside Nigeria. Government especially, they call on people where they live for Eti, Osa, Ibeju, Lekki, and Ekpe local government areas may they stay very, very vigilant. This advice is part of effort to prevent Ebola from entering the state, following recent outbreak for some countries where they for East and Central Africa. Health authorities they say preparedness and quick detection they important to stop this virus from spreading. If you know say they come, you go know what to do. They advise residents may they wash their hands regularly, maintain good personal hygiene, avoid contact with anybody where they show Ebola symptoms, and may they quickly report any suspected case, especially if it involves traveler where they come from affected countries. And for Obodoyibo, United States don't mobilize support for Venezuela after 2 strong earthquakes where hit the northern part of the country. The disaster killed at least 164 people and it leave almost 1,000 other people with injury. UN Secretary General don't express sympathy to the victims and families will lose their loved ones. He also wished them quick recovery for everybody who sustained injury. The 2 earthquakes were measured 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude happened less than 1 minute apart, and it caused serious destruction across many communities for inside that country. Like that, we don't talk this week to refinish. I thank all of now they with us from Monday reach today. Make una rest well for weekend. My name is Sedika Yusuf.